Welcome back, Bi-Conics fans. We are here again with Mikey, with JVL, and if you've seen the two of us, you know it's our Friday review of Ring of Honor, or the Bi-Conics Review of Honor, the Bro. Mikey, I'm so happy to have you back. I know your life has been turned upside down, getting ready to get back into school. Mikey is an educator and deals with very, very young kids in certain respects. You are my hero, Mikey, for that. I have a regular job, but that is a lot. But I'm so happy to have Mikey here, JVL here. We're going to take you through well, Mikey, it was as advertised. It was a shorter card for Ring of Honor. I was blown away. How about you?
Oh my God. First and foremost, I love Ring of Honor as much as you do, JVL, but I'm not going to lie. Having an advertised card, especially in the midst of getting into the first week back at school and everything, I was just like, the wrestling gods have smiled brightly on this day upon us, because
and on top of that, coming off of the review from last night about, Promo Fest at Dynamite, there were a good amount of promos on this show that broke things up, but everything flowed. Matches didn't go too long. There were storylines that were still furthered. I know this is a pre-taped, they had pre-taped the last 2 weeks to get set up to go over to All In, but Mikey, we had a pretty solid card all the way around, better than Dynamite, which I will say wholeheartedly.
Oh my gosh, I was shocked, bamboozled, all the adjective, because I was like, this is wrestling, ladies and gentlemen, and all peoples in between. And comparing this, because I didn't review Dynamite because, unfortunately, time zones are a pain in the butt. But
it's tough. It was me by myself with a little bit of professor help, but that's the old days of that anyway, so.
That's very true. And between that and Dynamite, I was just like, this was great, because this was just wrestling and, with some promos, and it wasn't 5 minutes of wrestling and the rest of it was promos. It was a thing. Also, though,
it was a really well put together card. It really was.
Yep.
But Mikey, speaking of being bamboozled and being overwhelmed and being taken aback and all the other adjectives that we can give to this, we start the night off in a campy, hot way. And I will pull this back. My daughter watched this with me. She watched part of the show with me, and her new favorite is this person now because he's the coolest. We have Dalton Castle and the boys taking on the Dark Order.
You want to talk about camp, even to a certain extent, I considered the Dark Order as camp too. This,
well, yeah, they are.
This was great. Obviously, I always pop for Dalton Castle's entrance with the boys. The things that come out of his mouth that the camera picks up on.
Stone fruit season?
I was
it's stone fruit season.
I was like, what the hell is this, Dalton? And it was the first match, and I had to pause because I was like, I got to get all this laughter out, because otherwise I'm not going to focus on this match.
I didn't think today, honestly, and even last night when I was watching with what happened, that I would be able to have that mirth, but somehow Dalton Castle brought me out of my darkness and allowed me to have light and have love again. For those that don't know, when this is dating this video, last night it was announced that WWE superstar Bray Wyatt died of a heart attack related to his COVID diagnosis. And Mikey and I have been kind of processing that all day, as well as the rest of us here at the Bi-Conics. So very tough day for a lot of us in the wrestling industry. And God damn it, Dalton Castle, you got to pull me back out. What comes out of his mouth, he does a longer entrance. He's talking to the ref and stalking to him. Dark Order comes out. Johnny Hungee's all about. Johnny Hungee had a cupping appointment before this. You could tell he was all.
I know. I was like, bro.
And they weren't mentioning it on commentary, but just the playfulness of this to begin with Johnny Hungee and Dalton Castle doing their biceps. Johnny Hungee asking, "Give me a boy," which is just perfect. They bring it in, and right off the bat, when they go into the wrist lock on the waist, Dalton Castle is yelling out, "Beat him! Block him with your rock hard abs! Block him with your rock hard abs!" I'm like, oh God, this is perfect comedy, amazing wrestling.
Listen,
right off the bat. And that got over. That was a chant. Rock hard abs was a chant.
I really love this opening match, just because obviously all individuals involved are within the realm of my favorites. And of course, this is the funnest match out of context to show your non-wrestling fans. You're like, the mixture of Dalton Castle and the Dark Order and the Boys is like the most, and the Boys is like the most homoerotic thing that I know. I was like, there's so much subtext in this match, and everyone just goes with it.
There's not much subtext. It's all text. It's literally like there on the page. You can't miss it. I will say this. I'm blowing my load early in this, Mikey. I'm sorry. This was my match of the night. This was honestly my match of the night.
Interesting.
Like, I loved this better than anything else. And there were some good ones on the card, but this was my match of the night for many different reasons, because of the emotion it got out of me, for the extremely fun move set and just tone it had. I mean, where he says, "Bring me the boys," and starts throwing them through the ropes doing toe paste to knock everybody out. Dalton Castle proving again he has such amazing strength and a great amateur background. The Boys flying all over the place and doing their best. And Dark Order really working that sadistic side of themselves, but also not losing the camp itself. They definitely gave into it. So, Mikey, this was my match of the night.
I can see that. I can see that for sure. And I did have a good time with that. And honestly, this would have been, but you know, I'll talk about it later, but there's a certain bias that I have to a certain wrestler. I'm just like, anytime I get to see him on my television screen, you already know. And JVL, you could probably guess. Yep. We'll get to it, and I will gush over this individual when we get there. But
Dark Order end up beating the Boys and doing their big flapjack, which was crazy. And I think that was Brent took that, and it was crazy high. But overall, amazing match. 10 minutes of my life that I want to share with everyone now. Just shared with my partner, my daughter upstairs. I'm going to share it with my friend who's right now watching some other things right now. They're making him sad. This is something that you have to go out and find. Like, download Honor Club, pay the money, get it on Roku. I figured out it's on Roku upstairs. I watched it.
Yes.
I was so happy. So this was perfect. And it led into an amazing promo. Like, just so good.
Everything was just hitting right.
It was so good. I was sad Billy wasn't in her Sally from Night Before Christmas outfit, but it was Athena and Billy Starks, who are now put together, Athena and her minion, with Athena's bestie, Lexi, talking about, getting set up and how things are going, and Athena made them all t-shirts.
They were also, like, very glittery. I was just like
Joanne's fabrics, like, go out and find things and iron them on. And Lexi says Athena's bestie, and then they pull out Billy's.
It's Minion.
Athena's wearing one that says Forever Champ, and Billy says Minion 400,237 and 3/4.
They had it.
I love the line. I'm not even a full minion to you.
I was like, it's like Billy has gone past the point of her being called a minion. She's more upset at the fact that she's not even like a whole minion. She's like 3/4 of a minion.
And Athena going off the hook going, "Where is my thank you? I spent 14 hours on these shirts." And I'm dying laughing watching this all happen. But they set up that they're going to be taking on the Renegades in the main event in a tag match tonight. It is Minion and Athena versus the Renegades. And Mikey, when we get there, there's some stuff a-brewing that I'm loving there.
Oh my goodness. I'm excited to talk about that. I was just like, Billy and Athena have become like my favorite things right now, as far as one of the storylines that the women's division is happening. And this was a really fun segment, but we weren't done with the women yet, because
and commentary was all about it too. They were saying how much they love the women's. They're pumping the women's division up. This is what you could do on AEW, Tony Khan, if you weren't going down on David Zaslav's lizard person, whatever I talked about. You won't get that joke unless you watch the Dynamite review. Watch the Dynamite review. Leave us a comment there. But
it was
you are allegedly a lizard person.
It was an experience.
Oh, it was so good. But yes, we have another women's match, and it's the one that was set up last week by a very short promo. It is Fire versus Ice, Kiera Hogan versus Lady Frost.
Listen, I'm gonna be upfront with everybody, including JVL here. As soon as we got that announcement last week and we got the Instagram post of who was fighting who, I was just like, yes, bask in the glory of this Fire and Ice. I'm just like...
And I did show this to my partner and my daughter as well. They were saying It seemed a little bit tentative at the beginning. It was a lot of like over dramatic kicks that were missed and kind of back and forths. But once they got into it, like, things were going back and forth. These two know each other very well from Impact. They know how to work well with each other. It was a faster paced match than I thought it would be. A lot of good like near falls and kind of back and forth, including one where Lady Frost avoids getting her legs swept out, only to be thrown back around and right on her face on the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, I'm told, Mikey.
Yes, it is very, very hard indeed.
Thank you, Simon Miller.
Yes. That swinging neck breaker. Oh my gosh. I love the swinging neck breaker from Kiera for her finisher. I'm just like, yes. This is the match that I wish that Sky Blue and Ruby Soho had on Dynamite. I was so disappointed.
And for them especially, because they got cut short. They didn't work well. Again, I'm going back to the Dynamite review. Watch the Dynamite review. We talk about it, but this shows what you can do with your women's division. God, Tony Khan, come on. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just like, Tony, come on. Like, Ring of Honor is kind of slowly killing it now. It's been killing it, but I was like, whoa. Everything is just continuing to be on the trajectory. And then...
I'm excited to watch ROH every week.
And then...
I'm excited.
Yes. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Thursday/Fridays are my new favorite thing because I get to watch Ring of Honor. And for all of like the two of you that actually like my Impact reviews, like Impact Wrestling is getting out of hand. Like, how is it that we're having Sonata defend his IWGP Heavyweight Championship on Impact pay-per-view? It is nuts. But honestly, it makes sense too because given the fact that they just had a crossover show with all the New Japan folks. Multiverse United, by the way, was great. Also, Julia just beat everybody's ass. It was so beautiful to watch.
Mikey, I know you're plugging that hard, but that indie that you're watching, we had an NJPW crossover in this show for ROH,
we'll
which is...
get to that. I'm excited. Speaking of excitement...
Mikey, we have to get to a high-flying entanglement between two of the best flyers out there who also seem to sell and take punishment better than most people out there, because we had Matt Sydal taking on Serpentico.
This match had no right to be as great as it ended up being, and I am not mad about it.
No, it sucked me in. Honestly, you see Serpentico on a card and you're like, okay, this is going to be him getting squashed, beat up, and thrown around. But then you have Matt Sydal, who's not a bruiser. He's not like that. So how is this going to work? And apparently, they've known each other for a long time. They went at it, trading blow for blow, throw for throw. Matt Sydal, his facial expressions and his vocalizations on top of everything else really sold this to me, making it fun. By the way, if there's anyone that has a problem right now seeing Mikey eat on camera, like this is just like a spoiler warning or a trigger warning here. I know people don't like it, but there are some people out there that may not enjoy seeing someone ingest. So
hey guys, welcome.
Around dinner time for Mikey.
Welcome to the ASMR Bro Review. No, just kidding. Listen, it is...
Mikey, we didn't shake hands at the top of this. That's how excited we were. This is crazy.
Honestly, let's do it now. As I'm shaking with like chicken on my fingers.
We've observed the cluck of honor, but we had this back and forth match, Mikey. Serpentico nearly getting a bunch of near falls on Matt Sydal and taking him almost to his limit, and the show of respect afterwards, when Matt Sydal finally beat him, was crazy.
That flipping pin maneuver that Matt does is just, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
We don't have words for it, for how just smooth and well-timed, and you can tell practiced it is. Like, you want to see somebody or two people that definitely know how to work the lucha style or the aerial style extremely well and make it look effortless, go back and watch this match. That's where you need to be.
And then it just kept getting better because we go backstage, and who is there but your winner of last week's match too, along with Samoa Joe? Like, Stokely. Listen, Stokely, I love you. You are my favorite mouthpiece right now, currently, on any show. And this was just the banter between Stokely and Lexi. Lexi's also really good. She's such a great correspondent for Ring of Honor.
But she has a personality to herself. Like, she actually is like a valued member of the staff. Like,
they treat her like not just backstage, they actually like get her involved. Man, she's had a lot of screen time with Athena, and I'm not complaining about it because I was just like, man, I would love to have her job, even if it's a character reporter, backstage interviewer. I'm like, I get to rub elbows with all these amazing wrestlers. This is great. But
have her go backstage with Renee Paquette to talk about ROH and have.
Oh my gosh, Lexi and Renee, like get those two on Renee's podcast. Let's go right now. I would watch that to no end.
Stoke is here delivering one of his amazing promos, and Mikey, I can't stop laughing at him. I can't.
Lexi just says what everybody else is thinking, like breaking the fourth wall, because Stokely is all happy that he was victorious last week with Joe. And, you know, Stokely says, you know what? I respect Joe. I was like, Stokely, blink twice if he's stealing your lunch money still. And then Lexi just...
Safe?
Yes.
Are you okay?
And then Lexi just cuts into him deep with, like, a knife. And it's just like, Lexi just basically says, I don't believe anyone respects you, Stokely. I'm like, gosh dang, Lexi, just out here taking shots, and I'm kind of here for it.
You see Jerry Lynn in the back just like going, yeah, no one respects him back here. No one at all.
And then Stokely is just like, really, Lexi? Really?
You should have Athena walk by and go, yeah, who are you?
Oh my gosh, if she walked by and did that, I was like, promo of the year, 10 out of 10. I'm like...
But then we moved on to the most confusing match of the night, only because commentary forgot who was who. Because they spell their name differently, but it said the same. This was a brutal match, Mikey.
Oh my gosh.
I'm loving where they're going with this. It was legit Layla Hirsch versus Layla Gray. And both got entrances. This was a full match. It wasn't a squash. And talking about on commentary, where's Maria? You know, like, is she actually setting her up for more stuff here? I love they thought smart Mark Sterling had come out and was up on the top of the ramp when it was Maria. Like, how do you confuse Mark Sterling and Maria coming out to watch a match?
Well, I mean, like, you can't, because one is female, one is male. Mark has a beard, Maria does not. Also, Maria is a little bit shorter than Mark and is not wearing a fucking suit and tie.
No, just the suit jacket with a sparkly bra. But Layla takes Layla Gray to town. You know, a couple of different joint maneuvers. A lot of just like back and forth, just toying with her amateur background, and she just completely pretzels up Layla Gray at the end of it and puts her in the armbar. And this is just, again, you're still building this character wonderfully. Riccaboni and Caprice are really setting up this whole thing of what is Maria doing. They haven't got an answer to what Maria is talking about with an army. This is how you do storyline with your commentary people without having to involve a big over-the-top promo like Ultimate Warrior style, and you're still showcasing how badass your talent is.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, just so good. So good.
And, like, this is not like a storyline that, oh, you know, we're going to do this for 2 weeks and then that being the end of it. This has been a through line for, like, the last month and a half.
Right?
And I'm just like, see, I like me some long-term storytelling, unless you're the Bloodline. But...
There's long-term, and then there's epoch. You know, just that long of an era of just some sort of, like, stone.
Just end it now. But I'm excited to see where this leads with Maria and, you know, Layla Hirsch's, like, relationship. Like, are we about to have, like, a women's stable? Like,
she's got Cole Carter on her back end, though, too. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like they've got one of each.
There was a reason why I like this episode a lot normally than I do. I mean, it's always fantastic, but Cole was nowhere to be found on this episode.
No Anthony Henry, no Cole Carter. We had it like we were free of the boring. It was so good.
But this episode gets dock points because no Iron Savages. How dare you? But they're schmoozing it up on in Collision and Dynamite.
My boys, I will miss you dearly, but I understand you've got to be up on major TV, and please do get over it.
Please,
get better up there. Yes,
because if y'all can become a staple in Collision and Dynamite, but mostly Collision, because it seems like y'all will be booked better there. You know, it was so good. But speaking of things that were also good too, I have questions after this promo. But you know,
okay, go for it.
I have questions because you know what. Mogul Embassy brought up a really good point during this Lexi interview. So, backstage, we get the 6-man tag championships, the Mogul Embassy, and Lexi interviews them. And as she's interviewing, she also announces that they're going to defend their titles next week against Action Andretti, Darius Martin, and Lee Johnson. I'm like, okay, cool. This should be a fun match. But then I had to pause. And then I had to pause because, once again, fourth wall break. Mogul Embassy is just like, why do we have to keep defending the title specifically against Andretti and Martin? I was just like, you know what? Like, you bring up a very valid point, Mogul Embassy. Like, now you have me thinking, I'm like, this was, my brain, like, exploded. I was just like, holy crap, they actually have a point.
Bishop Khan tearing into Andretti and Martin at the same time.
Ooh.
Almost teasing like they need Dante to come back to give them that edge. It's just like, yeah, you're right. This is how you do this. This is how you break the fourth wall. This is how you call out these things that people are complaining about and make it part of the story. Unlike Claudio, who couldn't do it in his promo last week, this was how you do it.
Yep, and this was
Prince Nana. Oh my god.
Last night, it's like, don't ever change Nana. Also, I know this is not Dynamite, and you guys did justice too, but I want to shout out Swerve because that was beautiful afterwards. It's like, this is so disappointing, and by disappointing I mean you. I'm like, damn. And then Nana, handle my light work.
Exactly. It's so good. And then there's also things we learned things about that as well about AR Fox later on that precipitated why things happened last night. But we talked about that. Go back and watch that. Go back and watch the Dynamite review because we're still here on a damn good wrestling show going into a match that I didn't expect to like at all.
This is great. Brandon Cutler.
Brandon Cutler with Colt Cabana.
Yes. Of all people, I was just like, yes, Colt, I missed you on my screen.
Well, and this pulling from Being the Elite because he's been on Being the Elite the past 4 weeks as this backup learning his camera thing from Brandon versus Blake Christian,
who is also back on my screen, who I have not seen on Ring of Honor programming in quite some time. I'm so happy to see him back. Like, Blake is so good. Blake is
amazing, and he's really fast around the ring as well as pretty strong. But Brandon, I forget how lithe he is and how much fun he is to watch. His D&D character was one of the comedy things I actually liked when he would roll for a move and stuff like that. Like, I loved that. And then he did a Lego spot. He had the D&D dice at one of the street fights he was in. But this is still a good thing. He comes out of the Being the Elite theme. This was on the same level as Seidel and Serpentico in terms of moves back and forth. And the ability to read your opponent very well and help them look like a badass at all times. And I love the powder moments where Brandon could get sprayed down by Colt and he had to get the cold spray and stuff to come back into it. This was comedy, but also great wrestling at the same time.
I realized how much, I missed Blake Christian before this, but then his finisher made me miss him even more. That springboard 450, man. I'm like, woo, baby. I'm like,
smooth as ricochets.
Oh my goodness. And then we get to, JVL really likes what we're doing with Tony Nese next and I'm enjoying it as all hell. But Tony Nese, we go backstage, Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling, man. Nese is once again angry at Jerry Lynn, forcing him to wrestle last week. And instead of doing group training, it's like he talks about it, but the important thing is that Sterling is banned from ringside when Nese competes. I was just like, ooh. I was like, say the drama for your llama, man. But I was just like, yes. I love me some juiciness.
But Javari's going to be there doing his thing now. That's the thing. Javari's already out there, so
right.
That's still going to be a problem. But without Smart Mark there, who's going to introduce Tony Nese? Who's going to get things set up? This isn't going to work.
I was just like. And I had that same thought. We'll put a pin in that.
I love Nese being so happy but angry and doing his pec jiggle, and then all of a sudden when he got told that, he's like, you're
instead of the facial expressions, his
the drop of the pecs,
the tickle bitties bounces, just like.
Folks, you wonder why we enjoyed this so much. This was not just comedy and camp, but this was just well put together and drew you into care about everything because there was a humanity to it versus. Some of the stilted stuff we got on Promo Fest the night before. So I love you, ROH. You're doing amazing stuff there.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Mikey. Oh, Mikey.
Yes.
It's a learning experience for someone going into this next one. The ways and the ways not to do things as Athena and Billy Starks take on the Renegades, and the Renegades had a decent match.
Honestly, like, okay, like, talk about like putting like fire to the flame, like, you know, litmus test here, because this is a big opportunity for the Renegades. Listen, realistically, me and JBL know that Athena and Billy are going to be fine, but this was a big test for the Renegades, and I thought they did pretty good.
They did amazing. There weren't as many botches the last time. They were in tandem with each other. Things were going on. I loved Caprice and Riccaboni trying desperately to talk about Twin Magic without calling it Twin Magic, and like bringing up
right.
L tag teams that can't get away with it, but then they can because they forgot who was in the ring. It just, the commentary made everything else. Caprice and Ian Riccaboni are one of my favorite tandems to listen to. Like, they are so much better than anything out there right now. Big props to Excalibur, to Taz.
Oh no, I will die on this hill. Ian and Caprice are the best commentators across all the wrestling shows we watch each week. No argument. I will take no questions. Like, that's not an opinion. That is just a straight fact.
Well, and you can see it also with Riccaboni. When Ian Riccaboni's been up filling in for Kevin Kelly on Collision, it's been amazing. He feeds into that so much better. Listen,
I love Kevin, but he works better like on the New Japan commentary team, because when Ian was filling in while Kevin went to go do the G1, I'm just like, Ian, don't go, please, no.
Ian and Nigel are two of my favorites.
God, Nigel.
I cannot wait for Nigel this weekend.
I know. I was like,
but so we had a really big back and forth match, and Billy was taking a lot of the offense in this one for a while, as should happen. The minions getting beat up, and finally gets Athena in a hot tag, and Athena starts to go wild, but starts to do her usual thing where she doesn't care about things and gets beat up a lot. And commentary is going on. She might have her first pinfall in Ring of Honor in almost 30 months or something like that. Like, it's been a while.
Almost like we're stretching on to 400 something odd days since she won that title.
Like that. And like they said, like, Willow's the only other one that's pinned her, but it wasn't on ROH, so this is still a thing sitting around. And Billy comes in, tries to save her. There's miscommunications between those two versus against them, and I loved the ending sequence. Athena gets up to do the O face, and Billy tags herself in to do the Swanton.
Lord,
and
oh my god. Planting the seeds, man, is so
Athena's pissed. They're talking back and forth like, we won. And Athena tries to get her to beat down one of the Renegades on the title like Athena does. Runs out of the ring, grabs, I think, Charlotte, drags her back into the ring to put her head on that title and basically stomp her. And Billy's like, I don't know if I want to do this. And they're arguing back and forth.
Which allows the other Renegade twin to pull her sister out. And then Athena yells at Billy for not listening to her. I'm like, whenever we decide to get this match, I'm going to clear the schedule. I'm going to need a couple of cigarettes afterwards. Like, I'm going to need a fan. Like, I need everything, because your homeboy's about to just bask in the glory of this eventual one-on-one match.
These two are working this angle better than any heel and babyface tag team has, where they're trying to teach somebody as a younger wrestler to do things. Even if you look at right now, like everything Matt Riddle has done in WWE, where he's always that kind of like Billy Starks analog there for everything that's been going on. Just in this setup, it's just the way and the edge that it's done and the unpredictability of it versus we know how dastardly of a heel this one person is and the good person can't deal with them. This is great humanity-based storytelling. I keep saying that. It's humanized. It's very small time, but not in the terms of like thought process, but small time in terms of digestibility, that you can actually take it in and care about this type of thing.
Like, in this, because we've really only gotten this the last 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks or so, and this is
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness, it's felt longer than that. But the point is, it's a testament to the talent that is involved, and when they're booked right and you got competent people backstage deciding to run with these stories for the talent, like,
Tony,
it's not that hard.
You do this on Dynamite or on Rampage or on Collision. Why?
I know. I was like, give me more matches, women's matches on Collision, but I will say Collision, if you're a woman wrestler, like, you're more safe there than the other two shows. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Pretty much, as we'll see later tonight when we watch Rampage. But oh my god, so this was great. This was amazing. it wasn't the fastest or biggest match. It was a great TV match, and it furthered what it needed to. While they're wearing their shirts, like her Minion shirts still on, it was just so great.
I need Ring of Honor to like make those Minion shirts because I will buy that. It's on my wish list. I need that one. I'm definitely getting the Iron Savages one. You know,
we're gonna buy some Bray Wyatt stuff because that's going to his family now.
Oh, absolutely. You have listen, man, it was great. And then, I was kind of upset with Claudio last week after that promo because I was just like,
terrible promo.
And then this squash, let's be honest, it was a glorified squash match. But normally I'd be like, you're the Ring of Honor champion. And this was, at first I was like, really? This is how it was? And then what was said afterwards, I was like, I'm still mad at you from the promo last week. But you know what? You kind of wiped it away just a tiny bit. I'm still mad at you a little bit, but
I'm going to take this beat by beat here. Because first we had Ryan Nemeth come out and calling himself the Hunk, and they're getting CM Punk chants because they're going off against him. So that was happening in the crowd. Nemeth doesn't want to take on Claudio. He had been running down the ROH locker room like he's going to take them out, and Claudio shows up. Apparently this is a proving ground match for his title, which no one expected because he doesn't defend it, and he didn't take it off to win. But I will say in this, what was it? It was a minute 16 that we had this. Claudio used his characterization to its fullest. This is the badass who is beating up an idiot, who is better than you, but also knows that he has a heart to himself and actually enjoys what he's doing. Between the big spin, the giant uppercut, and all that stuff, this is the Claudio I want to see more of, which is I'm having fun beating the crap out of idiots. I'm better than everyone else, and I can talk about it that way because I am superior, not that he has to call out the fact that he's never around, not the fact that he has to try to be truthful or heartful to it. He doesn't do that well. He's that sarcastic ass that you somehow like for some reason. And he does say at the end, even when I'm not around, I'm here. Or I'm still here. No, Claudio, that's not the case. I love you and I love you're putting it out there as a type of thing. You're not. This was a taste of what we could get if you get yourself out of that BCC vortex, which will not happen. We need you back more often because I would love to watch this Claudio take on Dalton Castle, take on Samoa Joe, take on, basically anybody that's in the TV title hunt right now. Shane Taylor, anybody there. This is the Claudio that we need to see in ROH and be the representative for ROH, not Claudio who takes a piece of metal around with him and does nothing with it and doesn't have a personality up on Dynamite. That's not what we need.
I know. I'm just like, Claudio, come on, man. I love you, but man.
More in a minute 15 than he has in months.
Seriously. You haven't gone from Ring of Honor for so long. The last time we saw you involved in anything Ring of Honor related was that
Death Before Dishonor.
Yes, and that was a month ago.
And that was after being off a month before that. He did no setup.
My gosh,
Claudio, you're not being used well in BCC. The BCC is kind of spinning its wheels anyway. You're a basic third wheel between Mox, weaker Yuta, I said it, I mean it, and Claudio. You don't need to be there for now. Get through this all-in pay-per-view. Come back to us on ROH. We want you there as this Claudio, please.
Please. And then we get to the final thing. So, I mentioned this at the top of this review. What I love about me and JVL's review dynamic is that we respect each other's opinions and we all have different takes. I mean, we tolerate. This was my match of the night, and I'm gonna tell you what. Come on, it's Zach.
No. I'm with you. It's a great match. It's amazing to watch, and I love watching a really good technical match. You know this. I love pure rules. I'm with you, Mikey. It just wasn't my match of the night,
and I'm totally okay with that. But this was my match of the night because anytime Zack Sabre Jr. is involved in the match, I know that it's gonna be amazing. When people talk about great technical wrestlers, they mention Danielson and they mention a lot of names. And this might be just my own personal opinion, but I feel like not a lot of people put Zach into that conversation. I was just and I get it.
Zach's in the same mold as, and this is going to sound weird as combining him. You take a Dean Malenko in his prime and you mix him with Owen Hart. because he's got just enough agility to be that way. And that's the technical prowess that Sabre has, and to like basically bend you into pretzels and do stuff. My move of the night was in this match. When he got him up and had him up in that double pectoral stretch, and then somehow got his wrist all the way around and broke both of the fingers, then he's facing Christopher Daniels, which also awesome. And
once again, HR beating up talent. It's not though. That's right.
He's not signed to AEW, so this is just an outside talent. He can actually do this without getting in trouble with himself.
Man, like. I love this, and the fact that this was for the New Japan World Television Championship was great. See, this was my match of the night because Zack Sabre, in one corner, you have Zack Sabre Jr., who I think is this current generation one of the great technical wrestlers, like, right now out there, and I love it. And then in corner number 2, you have Christopher freaking Daniels. Like, this man has done it all, wrestled anywhere and everywhere you can think of. He has one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Yes, I said it. Him and Frankie Kazarian are one of my favorite all-time tag teams. They're like in my top 3 for sure. And
when you look at it also, he's still moving it around at his age at
yes,
that level, which is crazy. He can hang with everybody else. He throws the shocker as his hand gesture when he gets up there, which I didn't realize. Between that and the fact also, again, this is where commentary, not being intrusive but being really good, said a couple things in there that I didn't really notice. One, Christopher Daniels has won and done stuff all over the map. This is one of the few titles he's never even tried to go for, and that's saying something in his career. It's like this is him trying again. Yes, of course he would go for a title while he's still got some juice left in him to go for it. It wasn't going to work for him because Zack Sabre Jr. will never lose that title because a lot of different reasons, including the fact that I didn't realize it's a 15-minute time limit, and if they can't hang for that long or there's a draw, it goes to Zack Sabre Jr. But the other part they brought up with ZSJ was, I had forgotten his whole ethos is, I'm going to put you in a submission hold, and if after like 3 or 4 seconds, if you haven't tapped yet, I'm moving on to another one, which updates that technical game of like holding in those holds forever, and where you sit on one submission forever and make somebody tap. This is dynamic because he's going to be like, okay, calf crusher's not working. I'm going to move over to an octopus hold. Then I'm going to put you in a headlock here. Do a dragon sleeper if that's not working. He's got every submission in his arsenal. And it's crazy to watch him do it because he just flips to it so easily, and then there's slaps and watch some NJPW matches with him where it's actually like brutal strikes. It is snug and wonderful to watch.
Yeah, and my biggest reason for this being my match of the night is, I'm going to go very obscure here, right? So this match for me personally, because I'm a big fan of all styles of wrestling. Like, as long as I have a good time and I'm entertained, I'm one of the few people out of my IRL friends that I know, like that I watch wrestling with outside of these lovely gents here. We love everything, but they have a really hard time getting into technical wrestling. And you know what? It's understandable because it's more grounded. It's more to the mat. The reason I love this match is because, as JBL mentioned, like, these two are really big names, and Christopher Daniels has done pretty much everything you can think of. Zack is putting on classic after classic, like, no matter where he goes, and he's able to adapt to his opponent. And watching these two go back and forth for this New Japan World TV Championship, to me, it was my match of the night because it was like watching a chess match, trying to figure out that each of them were trying to outmaneuver the other, moving pieces around the board, strategically giving their opponent some leeway. But of course, Zack ends up for the final kill shot because he makes Daniels tap out. But what I loved even more is, as Ring of Honor was going off the air, like, the fact that normally Zack is kind of a little bit of a cocky little prick, so to speak, but it makes sense because, you know, him and his faction in New Japan, TMDK, which I'm so happy they're reunited again. All the boys in the mighty don't kneel. But the fact that Zack was like, you know what? Yeah, we're good. It's like, I'm still better than you, but we're good. And I was like,
you're a veteran and you gave me a fight.
Exactly.
So good to see a show of respect, especially after also, I'm going to ask anyone here who knows technical wrestling or submission-based wrestling. Most of the times when you see it done, you always have to have that visual of someone tapping with their hand, right? That's always what it is. They're so good, and they got in such a different place that Daniels had to tap out with his feet. He had to tap out because he had no use of his arms and hand. Like, who does that in a finish anymore? And then to take it into that and then raise the hand up, respect given, not just code of honor, but like you and I put on something here that was worthwhile. This was amazing. As I said, I needed the emotionality and the fun of that first match more than this one. I enjoyed the technicality of it, but that's why the first one was my match of the night. Was I needed that catharsis and didn't realize how much catharsis I needed until I watched it. So, and my daughter, it was my daughter's favorite, so I have to go.
Of course, like she is always the right. It is. She gets the final say. Like honestly, her opinion is the most important one, not us. Like for real.
Totally, and that's why she said Dalton Castle is the coolest.
And you know what? I'm not going to disagree with that because she is absolutely right.
Absolutely right. But Mikey, that's it for the show.
I was like, oh my gosh, like we're actually at the end. Like there's not like 5 more matches after this. I was just like,
which
kind of sad.
I was disappointed a little bit, and my disappointment was in, and I'm going to throw some shade here at some other hosts on this channel. I was up until about 2 a.m. waiting for a certain professor to get me his part of the Dynamite review. So I thought, oh, well, I'm going to be up anyways. I'll watch the 3-hour, Ring of Honor I usually watch, and then I'll take up the time and I can do so. And it was over. I'm like, that was an hour and a half.
I'm like,
Professor still hasn't got me anything. What am I doing with my night?
It's like, what is happening? Where is my life going? Like questioning everything. And also, by the way, drag her for we love you, Professor, but damn, bro.
We do. But
we love you.
I know it's hard, and you had a good part of the review. I'm glad it was there. Like, there was a part in our conference back and forth where we were talking about how just do it without me. I don't know if I can do this. And no, we love all of you here at the Bi-Conic Wrestling Podcast. We want all of our opinions there. And yes, Mikey, you didn't get to join the 3 gents this time, but we at least got the original duo together, so it wasn't just my pretty face giving a review.
I mean, that's always a bonus, but yeah,
that's when you're editing. I know you like to look at my square a little bit more, but still,
I like to look at all of your squares because y'all are some fantastic folks, and you are beautiful to look at while I'm editing.
It helps the process apparently, and we all love you too, Mikey. But Mikey, so what would you rate this really, really well put together and quick, easy, fun ROH? Like this is what I would give people to watch for ROH. Be like, this is ROH.
Honestly, this one's tough. Because, I try to be objective, but I also like to be fair. But also my own personal enjoyment is kind of what dictates most of it. For me personally, I'm actually going to give this like a solid 8 out of 10. Because, like, everything was well paced. Like, everything flowed together. No match really, overstayed its welcome. The backstage segments were on point. Obviously, Billy and Athena's storyline is one of my favorite things right now. The opening match was hilarious. I got to witness Zack Sabre Jr. on Ring of Honor television against a legend of Christopher Daniels, which, I mean, you can't really say that, ever. And then, even the small appearance we got from Claudio, it's just like, I'm still mad at you. But if you can start to come back like this, I will be like, all will be forgiven, maybe.
Yes. Mikey, I'm going to surprise you here because, again, I have now announced ROH is free from the TK Accountability Corner Zone and my docking of minis because of the misuse of women's wrestling. It has proven itself to be the place to watch women's wrestling outside of some indie that you watch. But between that and the fact that we had an NJPW title defended on this thing, and I got to see Zack Sabre Jr. in action, I'm giving it 8.5 minis.
Oh my gosh, stop the presses. Holy hell.
This is my highest rated show for multiple reasons.
Exactly.
The storyline. This is a show that I will go back and people are like, oh, should I try ROH? Here, try ROH. See what you think.
Jesse, we're talking to you because we're getting closer to getting him to watch this.
He's watching All In with me. I might get some takes from him on that. He's got to go out to do something afterwards, but I might try to get some hot takes quickly. But, Mikey, 8.5 minis for ROH. We have come to the end of our Bi-Conic Review of Honor, our bro, and we must shake hands to observe the Code of Honor. Mikey, they can find us on the socials at BC WrestlePod. They can find us on our YouTube channel where this is being at the BC WrestlePod there, the Bi-Conic Wrestling Podcast. We would love for you to find myself at the JB Lexicon, and Mikey, you are at
You can find me at The Pop Culture Geek all over the socials. It's a great time.
And of course, share our stuff around, like our stuff, drop a comment, leave which match you loved on this thing or any matches you've loved in the past, people that you know from wrestling that may not have been part of ROH, or any questions you have. We want to engage with you about that because honestly, you're Bi-Conic. We're Bi-Conic, and all of us together share our love while being Bi-Conic. And because of that, Mikey, we'll see them in the next video.